What's up everybody? My name is Elliott, but you can call me the Motory Notary, because this is an automotive channel hosted by me, a notary public. That's the joke. Anyway, no, the title and thumbnail of this video aren't clickbait. I legitimately got this 2001 Corvette Z06 that you see behind me completely for free. Nothing. It just showed up and now I have it. And the best part is, one of you guys can too, because I've partnered with veteran-owned small business GetEnteredToWin.com to bring you guys, my subscribers, an awesome chance to win this 2001 Corvette Z06. Not just a Corvette Z06, this one, the one that I'm actually touching. All you have to do is click the link in my description at go.getenteredtowin.com/ElliottAlvis, buy a cool collectible mug, or for the first time ever, a digital download, and you'll be automatically entered to win a chance to win this very Z06 behind me. It's super easy. You just go to the link in my description, go.getenteredtowin.com/ElliottAlvis, buy a mug, buy a digital download, and you will have a chance to win this Z06 and help support this channel directly. It's an awesome opportunity. Be sure to check it out. All right, now let's look at the Z06. Now, as you guys know, I am a massive fan of Corvettes on this channel, so when the folks at GetEnteredToWin.com reached out to me and said, how do you feel about giving away a cherry C5 Z06? Do you know anything about those? Would that be something of interest to you? Well, I said, yes, that is literally so in my wheelhouse. Tell me more. And he said, well, it's yellow, my favorite Corvette color, and it only has 40,000 miles. Well, the choice was essentially made for me. I said, yes, send it my way. This couldn't go better. And here it is, a pristine 2001 Z06 with just 40,000 miles. All of these cars have double that kind of mileage now. It's crazy to see one like this. But before we dive in, and we're going to because, well, I want you guys to see what you're entering to win here, let's talk about what makes the C5 Z06 different than the regular C5. When Chevrolet debuted the all-new C5 Corvette back in 1997, it was a huge hit. They had changed practically every single aspect about the C4 before it for the better. It was a better ergonomic car, it was a better performing car, and it was a much better selling car. You could get it in coupe with a removable target top or convertible. And then starting in 1999, they offered this kind of what's called fixed roof coupe body style, where it's a coupe but the top doesn't remove. It's kind of a notchback design. Then, in 2001, Chevrolet decided to turn up the heat and make a successor to the C4 ZR1 of sorts, and brought back the Z06 name that they used back in the 60s. So what did you get in 2001 when you opted for the Z06 instead of the coupe or convertible? Well, you got this, and they turned everything up quite a few notches. First of all, it's got more horsepower, 385 compared to 350, and later cars got up to 405 horsepower. Also, it's stiffer, it's lighter, it's got wider tires, it's got bigger brakes, it's got cooling. It was essentially a track weapon. This was the car you got if you were serious about performance back in 2001. You know how I know? They only offered it in manual, which, as we all know, is pretty much the only way to get one of these cars. So that's the Z06 history in pretty much a very brief nutshell, and as you can tell, the more I talk about it, the more Corvette-y I'm feeling. Let's not talk about these cars in general though, let's start talking about this actual giveaway car. And for that, I guess I'm gonna need to get out of my Corvette-inspired lawn chair, take you a handheld mode, and let's look around this actual car, see what kind of shape it's in. How has 40,000 miles treated this very special car? First of all, obviously, I'm just such a sucker for the color. It looks so good. And even for 2001 and not that many miles, there's seriously like hardly any paint defects. It shows really well. Somebody clearly took care of this car for its entire life. The wheels are in good shape. The brakes look good. Everything just looks as it should. These, if you didn't know, I always loved. So as a kid, because I was pretty young when these came out, I used to think, oh cool, it's got side pipes. But no, these are actually functional rear brake cooling ducts. It has them up front too, but this is a real big Z06 style thing. A lot of guys with C5 coupes ended up adding these just because, well, they're cool. Got the big wide rear tires here. Now these are a little old and they will be getting changed before the car goes away, but oh, just look at this thing. And of course, another thing, these have a little fixed antenna, and somebody has already changed this to the stubby. Because stock, these cars have what could only be described as like an RC car antenna. It is seriously like up to here. It's kind of a necessary mod to make that low profile. Now, we can move to the interior a little bit more when we go take it out, but for now, let's go put it up on the lift and see what the underside of this thing looks like. Something that's not as easy to do in your driveway. Let's get this thing up in the air. He hasn't seen underneath this yet, but I mean, starting from the front, look, it has its air dam.
That's
you know, like that's
when you consider. Look at this; it's been straight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a low car, but it's just this. All of these are missing. I mean, even underneath, like the paint is still okay. It's in amazing, amazing shape.
Beautiful.
Have you ever seen a drier oil pan?
No.
Look at that. I know we're also coming from the Volvo with is the wettest oil pan, but this one is particularly dry. And yes, the main feature here, and the one thing that's really not stock on this car, are the headers. It's got long tube headers, and if you follow them back, well, there's no catalytic converters, so the 50 state legality of this car is, well, you figure it out. But here in Kansas, it doesn't matter. It is kind of interesting what they've done here with the extra O2 sensor wires. That is a custom job there.
That's custom.
But I'll tell you what, they are out of the way.
And it doesn't have a check engine?
No, it does. That'll be getting fixed too, because of the header situation. But still, it looks good. It does. There's no goop or anything coming out from under here.
No.
Everything looks fine.
Yeah, I don't see any.
I have seen way dirtier undersides of Corvettes.
What year is this?
It's 2001. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see here. Everything looks pretty good. There's I think, a little bit of goopiness coming out over here, but nothing like majorly concerning out of that CV boot. Yeah. And one thing I want to highlight back here. So it has those headers and X-pipe, no catalytic converters, but my favorite part about it is they actually left the stock mufflers. And what this does is it makes the car perfect. It's loud under acceleration, and it seriously goes to stock quiet on the highway. It's incredible. Obviously, you'll see that here in a minute when we take it out, but it's really something. Now, one thing I do want to point out to you, Uncle Glenn, here that is of concern. You'll have to come back here, which we will fix, is we've got a nut missing there on the sway bar, and we have a bolt missing over there on that one. So,
no problem there.
Very easy. These things will be fixed probably within a day, because you just get the bolts. I mean, like I said, overall, incredibly clean underneath.
This is fantastic.
Can't believe it. It's
I believe that fuel filter has been serviced.
Oh, I imagine so. It looks great.
Yeah.
It's just so clean.
It is.
And like I said, that's what's great about this car is that, yes, it's a giveaway car, but it's not one of those things where you're like, don't put it up on the lift because it won't show well. It's like, it shows perfectly.
Yeah.
It's a genuinely good car. All right, the car is back down, and under the hood here, pretty much more of the same. It's super duper clean under here. Of course, you have the heart of the Z06, the LS6 engine, and with that, like I said, you get a little bit more horsepower, but more importantly, you get the cool red valve covers, and honestly, it just presents well. Obviously, clamshell hood always makes everything cool, and you can see this one does have an aftermarket Blackwing intake, and that's just a common thing, and honestly, I'm here for it. It's awesome. Now, one thing I have noticed under here that John Ross and I disagree about, but we'll see, is there's a little bit of like spattering, I can tell, but it's on both sides, and coincidentally, it just so happens to be where these hood struts are. And you might think, well, they can't be failing because, well, it's holding up the hood. My theory is they are starting to fail and they're spurting out their oil every time this hood is open and shut. You might think, how is it holding the hood up at all if it's losing oil? Well, it's because this hood weighs nothing. So it wouldn't take much of a strut to hold this up. Now those I'll be replacing. They're super cheap, they're super easy, and hopefully it stops this spattering situation going on underneath what is otherwise a pristine engine bay. Okay, climbing into the Corvette here, and oh, my New Balances are tingling to get this thing out on the road. But you have your typical early 2000s GM interior. It's not bad, it's just a little dated because it's 22 years old. But that being said, this one is in fantastic shape, probably because it only has 40,000 miles. Obviously, you've got your like checkered gauges with Z06 on them. That's a Z06 thing. This one's got an aftermarket shift knob. It's kind of like a pool cue. It's massive. And as you can see here, an aftermarket stereo. But the good news is it has Apple CarPlay. Looking back this way, you can see the fixed roof coupe or Z06 unique thing. It looks like it has a trunk, but it's still like a total pass-through back here. Kind of an interesting setup. So instead of a hatch, you still have like a trunk lid type thing, but it actually works out really well. Makes these cars incredibly practical. Let's see if there's anything back there real quick. It's kind of like a segment of other people's cars, I guess. All right, well, it's kind of hard to get this open. Okay, and this is the trunk lid, but again, not really a trunk. These gas struts are working fine. We obviously have a bottle of Techron in there from when John Ross and I were working with this thing. And you can see, pretty open, but also very cavernous. Now, here is something. Whoever got this thing obviously cleaned it out, and not a very hard to clean out car. There's not much to it, but they did leave this, and I was like, what is this? Pura Dior. I was like, okay, what is it? Well, inside, the only thing in this Z06 are a bunch of toothbrush heads. I'm not even kidding. Somebody left all of their toothbrush heads. It's the only thing they didn't take with them. Maybe this was a thing that they like to do in this car. You know, Corvette's looking fresh. You might as well have some fresh chompers. But all right, like I said, my New Balances are absolutely itching to get on these pedals. So let me get my uncle and let's get this Z06 out on the road. That's what you want to do if you win this thing, isn't it? Drive it? Well, let's go do it. Let's be totally honest. What is the very first thing someone's gonna do when they win this car? I'll tell you what I would do. It'd be this. All right, now I'm gonna get my uncle and take him for a ride in this thing. Right off the bat, like you said, you missed the C4 jump.
I did. Gosh, almost flat by comparison.
It is. I mean, well, that's one of the things they changed when they were like, hey, we need to make these cars more livable. And one of them was not making a huge sill to hop over. I know it's crazy. Even in the parking lot, you can just already tell it feels like a tight Corvette. 40,000 miles.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's actually more space in this car too.
Yeah, because like I was saying, it's a pass-through. You know, it. Honestly, they made this kind of for fatter people. It was like, no, seriously, the C5, they were like, see, look, there's zero bolstering comparatively.
I can just roll around in it.
It's like they did the market research and they were like, you know, our average buyers are about 100 pounds heavier than we thought that they were. Even driving this, it's so much better to drive Corvettes as stick. You don't have to give it any gas coming from a stoplight. No, this is like an ideal car to learn stick shift in.
You're right, it really is.
And see, it sounds pretty good. This is a light acceleration and then just quiet. Yep. It's the perfect exhaust combo. I mean, they're giving this car away.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Driving it is like,
where do I sign up?
I know.
Wait a minute.
Well, it would be go.getentertowin.com/ElliottAlvis and buy yourself a mug. But I really don't want this car to leave. I'm actually sad that I can't win it. Normally, some of these you'd have to like kind of BS and be like, oh yeah, giveaway car, it's great. This is a good car.
This is a good car, and as a person who autocrosses, this is the car.
Get on it here a bit. Just test one of its main features. And yeah. Gets up to the exact speed limit and no higher.
That is
very well.
It's unbelievable.
But see, it sounds amazing, doesn't it?
It does.
And it goes. It really is the perfect amount of horsepower. Because like
it's so quiet.
We've driven, you know, a bunch of stuff, faster stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like you just get going like, this is like you can have fun with this and enjoy it.
Yeah. There must have been a lot of sand in the road back there. I'm pretty sure that's what caused that
just
loss of
a
grip.
slippage. You bring up a good point about this though. This does have, so it has traction control, and it's like the good old-fashioned one, on, off. You don't have to do anything. But if you press and hold it, this was one of the first cars that would do this. If you press and hold and hold and hold and hold, it will eventually say in this display here, competitive driving, which is what that does. So this, even in 2001, had competitive driving mode, which leaves the traction control off, but it dials back the stability. So you can still get a little sideways, but it'll hang on. I mean, in 2001, I can't see. Oh, hey, this is Corvette ownership right here. Sometimes you get next to an SUV and you just can't
under the trucks,
see.
That's fine.
It's just a good driving car. We've had it out on the highway. It's the same thing, just cruises.
This is
it's just good.
This is very
My favorite part is just the ample amount of power. I mean, in third gear, and it's tall gears. You know, that was just rolling onto it in third, and then now we're a quiet car again.
It's fantastic.
It is such a good driving and fun car that you're like, I don't know, it's crazy. You get spoiled by the modern cars, and then you drive the best car from the early 2000s, and you're like, we got it right with this one. It's just a good car. It's the perfect amount of power. It's practical. It drives well. I can't say enough good things about it.
I mean, I'm a C4 guy. I've had one for a long time. When you get right down to it, for a little bit more money, you can get one of these.
And this car is, like I said, well, like we both said, I mean, it's not just, oh, it's a little better.
No, this is
it's
miles.
better in every
This
aspect.
is better in every way. And it's in good shape. I mean, the doors aren't torn up.
And some lucky person's going to get it for freaking free. It's unbelievable.
I don't suppose it would be proper for me to...
I don't think it'd be... You could enter. Get yourself a mug.
I think if I won, I think there might be questions
people
to be
would
had.
People would probably have some
I would have
questions.
to change my name, but I might do that to get this car.
I think it'd be worth it. All right, let's get back in there.
You bet.
All right, well, it's safe to say this is one awesome Z06, and don't worry, I promise those tires will be replaced before the giveaway. I can't believe one of you guys is going to have the chance to win this amazing car. And that's not even the coolest part about my time with the Z06. While I've got it, I'm going to be fixing a few things here and there and making some content with it, but I won't be the only one. Other members of the Wichita Car YouTube Mafia are going to have the chance to make content with this car as well. You've already seen a couple of videos from Watch JR Go, but soon it'll be 100% Jake's turn and Tyler Potter's turn, and they've all got special things in store for this car. It's going to be a fun month, and I think you guys are gonna love it. Be sure to visit the link in my description at go.getenteredtowin.com/Elliott Alvis. Buy a cool mug, buy a digital download, and have a chance to win this awesome Z06. I really don't even want to see it go, but I do want to see one of you guys get it. So please visit the link in my description, go.getenteredtowin.com/Elliott Alvis, and enter to win this car. Boy, this is going to be fun. I'll see you guys on the next video. Such a dorky outfit to wear in public.